So today I want to update a story that was almost a tragedy in the making, starring one Joe Montana, his wife Jennifer, and an intruder that came into their home and tried to take one of their grandchildren. This is a terrible subject in the making. Thank God it turned out the way it did, but it was almost something that, well, you can imagine how that could have gone. Now, to add to this, some people on Twitter, where I heard this from, are not mad because of the situation. No, they're mad because Joe Montana had an altercation with a female trying to get back his 9-month-old grandchild. I mean, I cannot believe the world we're living in. So I'm going to add that to this video too, and well, maybe we can shame these people at the end. So hey there. So today we return to that world of headlines where you have a wonderful outcome, I suppose, but the whole headline itself is absolutely crazy. Now, if you don't know Joe Montana, he was, in my opinion at least, the quintessential quarterback in the 80s, where the guy played for the 49ers. He actually made a comeback with the Chiefs, and well, this isn't the type of headline that you're accustomed to with this guy or any star out there, as a matter of fact. So, what happened? Well, according to TMZ, Joe Montana and his wife Jennifer Montana had the scare of their life on Saturday when an intruder came inside their home and snatched one of their grandchildren right out of a woman's arms. Now, like I said at the beginning of this situation is still developing, so we don't know all the details. But what we do know is that law enforcement is saying Saturday evening at 5 p.m., a 39-year-old woman entered into the home where Joe and Jennifer Montana were staying. Apparently, she entered through an unlocked door. Now, when I say this is not a judgment or indictment of anyone in that home. This is a horrific situation. But for anyone out there, please don't leave your doors unlocked. There are a lot of dangerous people in the world, and yeah, you need to be careful. So after this 39-year-old woman enters into the home, she sees someone holding a baby. It's unclear who was holding the baby, and it's unclear how exactly she ends up with the baby. But law enforcement sources say that she ends up walking away with Montana's granddaughter to another part of the house where she was confronted by Joe and Jennifer Montana. Now again, putting that into perspective, we're talking about a 39-year-old versus Joe Montana, who is now 64 years young. And of course, not to leave Jennifer Montana out of this, she is 62 years young. Now, as far as that intruder goes, we don't know motivations, but really in my mind, it doesn't matter. Person goes in, they try to remove a child, and luckily, they run into two people that want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, as far as what transpires between Joe, Jennifer Montana, and this unknown female, not a lot is known about the altercation, but the word wrestled is used. They wrestled the baby away from the woman. So they did end up getting their grandchild back. And afterward, the intruder, they ended up running out of the house. Now, I thought this was interesting. After the woman flees the house, it turns out that the LA County Sheriff's deputies, they were on the same block on some unrelated matter. Don't know what that unrelated matter is, but still, they were around. So someone inside the home, they end up running out. They end up flagging down these deputies. They tell them exactly what transpired, and that intruder, they're found just a few blocks away. So since this is an update, I'm going to add this to the end as well. We actually have a name for the 39-year-old, and we found out a little bit more about the child and how the child ended up in the 39-year-old's hands. So here's the name. I'm going to call this person SD. I mean, you see the name there. I will definitely butcher that, so you can just see it here and read it off. But this person, they entered the home. The time was right at 5 o'clock, and it looks like from everything I've heard that the way they entered through an unlocked door, that's actually right as well. Now, there's been a little bit of speculation about how this person observed the child, how they knew the child was in there and everything, but what they did was they ended up taking the grandchild, which was a 9-month-old, we've now found out, from a playpen. Now, Montana and his wife ended up confronting this person. They de-escalate the situation, and they safely removed the child from the suspect's hands. The suspect still tries to flee, so you still have that in there, but luckily, the police, they were in the area. They ended up getting flagged down, thank goodness, and they end up picking this person up just a few blocks away. This person, they have been charged with kidnapping. They have been charged with burglary, and man, I mean, talk about an insane situation that was in the making. Now, as far as information on this is concerned, again, we have sparse information. We haven't heard quite a bit, but two sources noted something that I thought was kind of interesting, if true. Now, the sheriff's office, they will not answer anything about that either. They declined to release any more information, citing that the case was still ongoing. But again, two sources said that this person, when they were confronted, they may have struggled during that. And I really hope that's true, because you have Joe and Jennifer Montana. We're talking about, again, two 60-plus-year-olds, two grandparents that are in this mix, and they're going to do whatever they can to get their grandchild back, but they're going to have to pull their punches, as it were. If this person, they decide to go toe-to-toe with the police, well, it's going to be a different story. And like I said, I hope that that's true. As a parent, I can only imagine what kind of a horrible scenario this is. And yeah, I hope that they got a little bit of that police, knocking somebody around justice. Oh, wait, is that terrible to say? No, not really. Now, since this was a trending topic on Twitter, I was looking through conversations as well. There are many well-wishers, nice people, but for every nice person, there's some crazy thing, and I want to highlight this toward the end. So you have one person, and I kind of agree with this sentiment in a lot of ways. He should have never got the chance to walk out of your house. They make bags for people like that. Hey, if a person is going to go in, they're going to try to remove children. Well, there's one way for them to leave, and it's not upright. Now, the reason that I highlighted that was actually because of this portion. Because, well, I wonder what people think about this in comments. I'm curious how you take this. So, this person says it was a she or a woman who did it, not a he. So, sorry to interfere with a perceived legitimate outlet for violent urges. So, since this was a female, well, the way that you needed to deal with this, you needed to deal with it in a way that if you were talking about a he, you wouldn't have dealt with that, aka that violence that you noted. It's not welcome here. Now, I'm curious how you take that, because for myself, I don't really care how they identify, what pronouns they're using. I'm an equal opportunist when you come into a home and try to take a child. The only gear that really matters, like that person said at the beginning, is the gear they're probably going to be put into while they're trying to leave the home. This wasn't a one-off comment either. I found several people that noted the same mentality, thinking, hey, Joe Montana actually threw down with a woman. There was an altercation there. What kind of a monster is he? And I kept thinking, really, are you saying that? A 39-year-old breaks in your home, tries to steal a 9-month-old child. Two 60-plus-year-olds try to hold that person off, and they're somehow the bad guys in that? What kind of world are we living in? I mean, what kind of parents are we talking about here? Hopefully these people aren't parents either. It's like I've said many times in live streams and videos, you judge a society on how advanced or progressive it is, not by the height of its skyscrapers or how its economy looks, but by how it takes care of its most vulnerable populations. When I say vulnerable populations, I'm talking about the elderly, I'm talking about the mentally ill, and of course, I'm talking about children. Always children. So when you look at this situation, I'm thankful that it had a resolution like it did. I'm thankful that there are people out there that care about their families, but it scares me when I look at the comments that are out there too. I mean, you see a situation like this. Again, someone enters a home unlawfully. Someone wants to do harm, or God knows what they want to do in that situation. And there are people out there that look at that person and say, well, I'm going to make some inference. I'm going to decide something about them, and you can't do anything about it because identity doesn't work that way. If we're equal opportunists and we see something like that playing out, yeah, we got to say that's not acceptable. And the harshest things we do, again, should be in the protection of our most vulnerable. Again, Glad to see this statement by Joe Montana, thanking everybody who has reached out. He says it's a scary situation, thankful that everything is doing well, and he's asking for his privacy at this time too. So, when you're going in, if you want to leave a comment, that's great to him. But yeah, privacy is of course paramount. I'm sure we'll find out more about this situation too, so if you want updates, let me know. But anyway, leave your comments about this. I'm curious what you think about it. And as always, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for showing up. You make these endeavors possible. Not enough people say that. I always want to make time to say it. And I also want to say that I appreciate you being here because you make this channel possible. If you want to help out the channel too, there are links in the description. Make sure that you're subbed as well. And again, as always, appreciate the heck out of you. And until next time, well, we'll see you soon.